Hi all, I just put together this massive storage system in the previous episode. It sorts every single item in the game. However, I wasn't able to get some of the items I needed for the filters. Some of those items include the beacons and the nether stars. Not to mention I've already used up the one beacon I already have to indicate where those items will be going. So needless to say, I need to get my hands on some wither skeleton skulls. That's why in this video, I'm going to focus on putting together a wither skeleton farm. However, there is one set of items I also need to get my hands on, and that is anything that includes netherite. So in order to get the 2 shulker boxes worth of TNT I'll be needing, I headed out to my mining desert and I got myself 8 shulker boxes of sand. Once I collected all this up, I headed over to my witch farm to get all the gunpowder, and then I went ahead and crafted up all of the TNT. From here I just headed over to the nether and expanded the network of tunnels that I had previously made when trying to get netherites, and just laid out loads of rows of TNT so that I could blow it all up. I needed to pick up almost 2 stacks of ancient debris, as this storage system requires you to have 2 netherite blocks in the system, as well as 2 netherite ingots, plus you need the 2 scraps and the 2 ancient debris, plus you also get lodestones which are each a netherite ingot each, so needless to say I ended up getting quite a bit, which is why I used so much TNT. With all of that done, I'm now in the nether ready to start building this farm. However, it's getting pretty annoying having to take separate portals to get on top of the roof to travel and below the roof for doing things like this farm or getting resources, which is why I'm over here at 0, where I've got all of my bits sort of left over. You can see that's where the storage system chunk loader is, and this right here is 0. I'm going to go ahead and break through all of the bedrock here so that I can create easy access from above and below, and it should make building this farm a lot easier. Well, that was very successful. Now I didn't get round to showing you how I actually did this, but this right here is the little contraption that I used. Now there's a lot of different variations of this that fundamentally do the same thing, but this is what I went with, and the piston facing upwards is always going to be the one above the piece of bedrock you want to break. And it's really simple to use. You just head under here like this, flick the lever, and when this piston extends there'll be a small gap right over here which you want to aim for with another piston, and you want to just hold down right click and then it will blow up, and if it works it will go ahead and just delete the block underneath. Now there is one thing you can do to make this a lot easier, which is change your keybind for the place item function to a key, so that it actually places blocks a lot faster, and that's going to increase your odds of making this work. Now, I actually had a 100% success rate with this. I'm not sure if that's because of this different method that I'm using compared to last time, or if it's because I'm on a single player world, but if you're in 120, I can definitely confirm that this is 100% going to work. Now then, this right here is where I'm planning on building the Wither skeleton farm. As you can see from my coordinates, it's not too far away from where we just were, and it's not an ideal location, however it's pretty good, and I'm going to make it work for the convenience of having it so nearby to 0, and that crossroads right there is what we're going to take advantage of, as the bounding box is perfect for making a farm. So what I've done, as you can probably expect by now, is gone ahead and made a schematic of the farm itself and where it needs to be. And I do not want to make a giant perimeter in this area, as I just don't really have time to do that, which is why, thanks to knowing exactly where this is going to be going, I headed up top to the ideal location to AFK this thing and created a despawn sphere using mini HUD. And what this shows me is basically everything within this sphere needs to go, because it's going to be able to spawn mobs. Either that or you want to cover it, but I think I'll just go ahead and break all of the blocks. And so you can see it's mostly bits of the fortress, but as I said, it's actually not too bad of an area. As you can see, there's not too much within this sphere. I don't have to worry about the roof, as nothing can spawn up there. I kind of just have to worry about these bits, and thanks to the fact that we already have a lava lake, there's actually not a lot here. I will have to do some work over in this bit, removing some of the lava, but otherwise, without repeating myself, I think this is going to be quite an easy job. So I'm going to go ahead and start working on just clearing out all of this stuff so we can begin building the farm. As I head back to clear my inventory from doing all that bedrock breaking, I was just going over to the portal and you can see exactly how large this sphere really is. And so as you can imagine, right up around this area in the very center is where the AFK platform is going to be, and it means I don't have to break any more bedrock, which is the convenience of having it so near to 0, or 0 over here, where I've already gone ahead and broken the bedrock to get easy access underneath. As I neared the end to finally tearing this thing down, I used a small piston contraption to help me place the sand slightly quicker and spread it across the area of lava that I was planning on clearing out. I then realised that the hole was slightly too small for one section of the farm, so I brewed up some fire resistance potions and headed into the lava to just extend the walls by an extra 1 block with a slightly more aesthetic look to it all. With all of the area cleared and the schematic ready to go, I went ahead and collected all of the items that I'll be needing to build this wither skeleton farm. Thanks to all of the new features that we've gotten in recent updates, this farm is actually super simple, and you could certainly build this yourself as opposed to one of those massive contraptions that you sometimes see. It just relies on some core mechanics, as the wither skeletons are aggro towards piglins, and so we have some piglins in the centre of the farm, and all of the wither skeletons just run towards him, fall down, get slowed down by the lava so that they all have the same amount of damage when they come down to the bottom. And then, as you'll be seeing later on, we actually use dogs to kill them, as if they die on their own they won't drop any wither skulls, and so you'd traditionally have to use the player with some looting to get them. However, not many people may know, you can actually use dogs. I think it's a slightly lower rate at which you'll get them. However, since it's 100% AFKable, I think it's certainly worth it in my opinion. And so that's how we get all of the skulls. And then all of the blocks that the wither skeletons spawn on are covered in wither roses, and that's to kill anything else that may spawn in the farm, and their drops will just despawn, and that enables us to make this purely a wither skeleton farm. That is why we wanted to build this in the bounding box of that intersection, because it means that the blocks that the wither skeletons spawn on don't have to be nether bricks, but can be any block at all, and that enables us to use the netherrack to of course plant the wither roses. From here I simply crafted up all of the new shulker boxes that I'll be needing to fill in this system, and then I headed out and grabbed myself my first few dogs, and that is of course so that I could bring them over for this farm. And what I did to make life a lot easier when it comes to transporting them all the way down to where I needed them is I just leaded them over above the farm on the top of the bedrock, and then I flew from there all the way down to the farm itself without landing, because the dogs won't teleport to you until you land on the ground. And so I landed specifically where I wanted them to be, and they simply teleported straight down since they were just above, and that is how I managed to get the job done. Getting the piglins I needed was also quite simple. I just built a bridge out to the biome, which was literally right next door, and although 1 or 2 of them did die, I managed to get them over, and then instead of name tagging them, I just gave them some gold boots, gave them a little bit of an armor upgrade, and that just makes sure that they won't despawn. And finally, with the item filters filled up, that completes this farm. It's been just under 2 hours now, so it's time to head back and see what this thing has produced. Now I have already done a tiny bit of AFKing just before this, just to make sure that it was all working and everything like that. And just in that small space of time, I was able to collect 5 wither skeleton skulls, so I certainly have high expectations for this thing. So here it is. Let's fly on down here, and as you can see there's a lot of XP there that is collected, but we don't need that, we need what's collected in here. So let's start off with the coal. Alright, that's not too bad. Bear in mind that we already have like probably half a box filling up as always, so I'm pretty chuffed with that, and it's certainly going to make my life a lot easier because I'm pretty fed up with going around and mining for coal to fill up my furnaces. So let's check out the bones. This is probably, yeah, quite a bit more, so that's excellent. I don't really have too many uses for bones now, but in the future I would quite like to make an automatic wood farm, and so making bone meal for that will be very, very useful. And then finally, of course, we're not going to have any full boxes here, but the moment of truth. Well, hey, look at that. 3 stacks and 21 wither skeleton skulls, and that's just in 2 hours with a single one of these farms. You know, if you find one of these fortresses that has several of these crossroads together, you can imagine that multiplied by 4, and this farm really could produce quite a bit. So that means we're definitely going to try and make ourselves a stack of beacons. I think that's definitely a good goal for today. Any of you that have a really keen eye will notice while I'm down here that I actually did replace the floor with slabs, as I was pretty annoyed with the amount of mobs that were spawning down here every time I wanted to do something. And then other than that, everything is kind of as you last saw it. If I fly around here, you can kind of see the sections that I've chiseled out in order to make this sphere. It's actually a lot easier to see once you turn this on, as the fog can kind of make it difficult to get your bearings around here. And I have to be careful this doesn't blow the farm up as well. But as well as up here, you can kind of see that some sections are left in, and I kind of just removed any of the surface blocks, if that makes sense. But there were a couple of caves that I had to fill in as well. I believe one of them was just over here. Yep, this was a little cave entrance that went up there. And so yeah, that's it. I'm very chuffed with this farm. And as you can see, it has a little neighbour. And this right here used to be where the blazes would spawn. And I think what I'd like to do now is actually convert this into a small blaze farm as well, so that whenever we AFK this bad boy, we can passively get some blaze rods as well. Although now that I think about it, because we AFK up there, it will be out of range. But hey, it would still be useful to have the two together. Oh my gosh, these ghasts are just unbelievable. Whilst I grab myself some soul sand here, because I think we should try and kill some of these withers first, you can see just how many items I was able to collect putting this thing together. I got a ton of nether bricks from tearing down that fortress, as well as some of the sort of black stones and basalt. But I'm also quite chuffed with the amount of crimson items we were able to get. You can see up here, there's quite a handful of it, so I don't imagine I'll be needing to get any more of this in the future. At some point, we need to tear down some of the warped stuff as well. And of course, how could I forget, there is a ton of netherrack that I collected, so it's nice to finally have this storage system filling up. And whilst I'm here, I'm actually just remembering I went ahead and moved the map over to this bit, just so that we have somewhere to see it, since we're kind of around this area quite a lot. We don't usually go back to the house now that all of our items are here. And so yeah, that looks pretty cool. It's still got the bowers behind it, but I don't really use them. I've just kind of got a couple of bits in here for now, but I'm not really using it, so it's fine. Into the end we go. Now last time I tried this, it didn't go very well, as some of you may remember, so I think it's time we get a redemption on that. It should be a lot easier now that we've kind of cleared all this out, and I've actually still got the rail stuff here back from when I did all of that stuff. I've since moved this into what should be the correct location, and so I think we should just go for it. If it goes wrong, we're certainly much more well equipped than last time. So let's summon this bad boy in and see how it works out. There it is. And this time it's working. So I believe what was the issue last time was that this wasn't in the very centre, and the reason you want it to be in the centre is the reason this guy isn't flying up is because these blocks are right here, and so it kind of just floated up through the portal, and that was the issue. I know some people said it might be because I have knockback, it might be because it was too low, to this, to that, but I think in the end that was the issue. So we're just going to tear this guy down right now, and we should get ourselves our first nether star. There it is. So now I just need to do that 63 more times. And whilst I'm doing this here, I know that you can make an automatic wither killer, if that's something that you feel is necessary in your world, to have that many beacons. But I don't think I'll be doing any more of this after I get this stack of beacons, as that's certainly far more than I'll ever be needing in this world. Well, we're finally coming towards the end here. I can't stress just how long this actually takes. It's kind of ridiculous. You know, I think I could bear it if it was just the hitting part, but this charge up time just kind of adds a little bit of insult to injury to this entire process. I can certainly see the appeal to wanting to make an automatic wither killer if you need any more than a stack of these. But finally, here we are. This is the 64th one we've got, and there it is. So I'm going to go back to my storage system and see if we can craft up some of these beacons. We actually need quite a few bits to do this, so I think what I'm going to do is smelt up all of the sand. Seems like we've... Oh, look at that! Yes! So we've actually already got the glass we need. But I was going to say, it's kind of an interesting one because we need a lot of obsidian too. So it's a good job that I've got the gold farm. Because this of course also doubles as a bartering farm. And so we've got the obsidian collection right over here. Oh yes. And then since we're doing all that smelting over there, I suppose it'd be a smart idea to also grab the coal from this farm. That way we can just kind of fill it up now and we don't have to worry about doing that later. Alright, so let's craft up these beacons. There it is, a stack of beacons, look at that. That's something you don't usually see in a hardcore world. So that's excellent. Let's go ahead actually. Oh, I should have kept 2 of the stars. Well, we'll have to get 2 more stars, which certainly won't be difficult now. But we can take these beacons at least and see if we can find the appropriate filter. Here it is. And we can put those 2 in there. Lovely. So I think what I'll do is I'll leave a couple in here, just 7 or something, and then we'll chuck the rest in here where I have my stuff for a beacon and a conduit. I actually don't have a conduit right now because I use them for the storage as well, so at some point we should probably make some more of them as well. And so you can see there's also quite a bit of junk filling up in here. But let's go ahead and put this coal into the system, just like this. And it's actually got room for a lot more as well, so I'll probably AFK this quite a bit in the future, just so that I can get all of the coal really, because that's really, in my opinion, the more useful thing. And I should probably sort this a little bit more evenly. There we go. Alright, well I know I said I wasn't going to kill any more, but there's those 2 more, just so we can get the stars for the system. And this time I put my bed at the storage system so that we're here immediately, and we can go ahead and add these as well. Well then, I might as well go ahead and smelt up the rest of this sand, because with that done I think it's time that we start putting together this blaze farm. This blaze farm is super simple. It just relies on the fundamental basic mechanics of a spawner. So I made the appropriate space that it needs, and then the blazes will spawn. They'll all fall down into the lava, which pushes them into a small little killing chamber, which allows you to of course kill the blazes and get the blaze rods that you need. Now a quick tip if you're building this yourself, if you place the glowstone around the spawner just as I have, you won't get any blazes spawning as you build this, as that can be pretty tricky to prevent sometimes. So this is the blaze farm in action. As you can see, we've got a simple killing chamber here where you can come in with your losing sword and just slay these guys to get what you need. Now the unfortunate thing about blazes is that they don't drop the blaze rods unless they're killed by the player, so that kind of rules out any kind of entity cramming or any kind of automated system for this. You still have to get the player involved, but it does the trick, and I don't really need that many. It's just kind of a bonus thing to have next to our farm right here. And speaking of which, I have also gone ahead and AFK'd this thing overnight, and I think you're going to be impressed to see just how much we've got. Firstly, starting off with the coal again, there's a fair bit here. You know, this is pretty good, and it's certainly going to serve its purpose in the long run. However, look at how many bones we've gotten. This is absolutely incredible. and it's certainly going to fuel all of the farms that I have in the future. But it doesn't stop there. Look how many wither skeleton skulls we've gotten. This is absolutely incredible, and I do have a plan to use these in the future, so you'll have to wait and see what I'm going to do with all of them. And it's good to see that our little doggies that have been hard at work here haven't died yet as well. So I'm going to go ahead and grab these blaze rods up and also bring all of these resources back to my base. And apparently we've got a magma cube down here. Get out of here. Which reminds me, actually, as I kill these, I'll probably make a magma cube farm in the future, which is just another one of those nether farms that you get to make these days. And so what I'll actually go ahead and do is craft up all of the coal and the bones into their block form right away, so that we don't have to keep going back and forth, and I can just recycle these boxes immediately. Well, in the end I got just over a shulker box of coal, and then I got a little bit more than 14 shulker boxes of the bone blocks, which is quite a bit. And then of course I have the wither skeleton skulls. Now I did originally add them to my bulk sorter, as you can see here, as I kind of anticipated making this farm, but now that I think about it, I don't think I'll ever really have enough of them to make having this slice here be worthwhile, so I'm thinking I'll probably just move these into the rare items with all of the other skulls, and then if I get an excess amount, I'll just add them into these chests, as this is literally never going to fill up. Alright, well, with the filters sorted out, I'll go ahead and chuck all of these in here for now, and I think that will about do it for today. So finally, I've collected all of these random bits and bobs from everything that I've worked on today, and I can flick the lever and let my brand new storage system sort it all out without any fuss.